Hello class. In this video we're going to continue with our Photoshop assignments, and in fact we're going to jump and have a next few videos on enhancing our building here. In this building specifically, I want to talk about grass along the edges here. As is often the case, if you bring your building in without any grass highly rendered, it almost looks like it's floating on top of the grass blades rather than sitting in. And I have a very simple trick for you to make it just feel like this building is setting in the grass, um, so that you can use. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a new layer for this, and I'm going to put this on top of the building layer. So I'm going to go to my building layer and hit the new layer button here. Yours might look slightly different. The newest version of Photoshop has like a little plus sign for a new layer. So you're just going to click on that. It's going to make a new layer for you. Double click and we'll call it grass. Okay. Now we're going to have to do a few things. One of the great things about this lesson is going to show us how to use the clone stamp tool. So you're going to hit the clone stamp tool, which looks like this. Now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to load in this predefined paintbrush. I'm already sort of ready to go, having done it before, but you're most likely going to have to go up to this button up here. Brings up this toolbox, come over to this icon and go to legacy brushes, and it'll ask you to load it, and you can go ahead and load it. And what that's going to do is it's going to put something down in here. So you're going to scroll down and eventually you're going to see legacy brushes, which is right here, and it might be collapsed like that. If it's collapsed, just hit the little arrow to uncollapse it. If you need to, uncollapse the default brushes and scroll down. It's going to be a little ways down because this is a big long list of brushes, but if you scroll down, you'll eventually see grasses. Here we go, grasses right here. So I'm going to use just regular grasses, and you can click on it. Okay. So that got our brush set up. That's going to help us paint in a grass shape. Like watch this. Okay, I'm going to just click here. I'm going to do it up here. You don't have to do it. It's just for demonstrations. You can see it looks like it's sort of like grass up there. Now part of it is the clone stamp, and part of it is the paintbrush. The paintbrush is the fact that it looks like grass blades. That's the paintbrush. The fact that it looks like a bunch of greens and dandelions and all of that's good stuff, that's the clone stamp. Clone stamp basically sets your target and paints whatever it sees down here up high. And the reason why we need that is because if I were to say like, why is grass, like what color is grass, you'd say the grass is green. But really, of course, it's really, if you zoom in on the pixels, it's hundreds of shades of green. Right? And so we need to be able to paint hundreds of shades of green. And you can do that if you have some grass, you just clone stamp it right up. Now, clone stamp is a bit tricky to use. Once you get a hang of it, super easy to do, but it does take a few steps, so pay attention to these steps. The first thing we want to do is we want to get the size of our brush right. So you can see how big my brush is here. That's too big. If I zoomed in a little bit, those grass it's too large for planting down here. So I'm going to change that, make it smaller. I think probably around 80 in my case, roughly will work. You're going to have to set what works for your image. It could be different. Oops, hit the wrong layer there. And then you can always give that a test. Now, the thing about clone stamp, I'm going to continue this demonstration here in a test mode. The way it works is you hit the tool, then you have to come down over what you want to copy. So I want to copy grass, and I have to press Alt on my keyboard. Notice that my cursor changed to like a little target because I'm setting the target. So I'm going to click there to set the target. Then I'm going to move to wherever I want to paint. I'm still testing, so I'm going to do it in the sky. And you can see that's why it paints on the sky. And you can see where I had my target, you can see a little plus sign moving around showing what I'm copying. And if I get too high, I'm going to show you this example. If I get too high, it'll go over the building and start painting the building color. So you can see that. That's because I'm too high. So oftentimes you have to keep resetting your target as you're painting with the clone stamp, and I'll show you this in the real demonstration. Let me just delete this test work here because I had a good paintbrush size, and get to work. So I'm going to go to my grass layer, go to clone stamp. I have this all set up. I'm going to zoom in on one corner or the other. I'm going to press down in the grass area, press Alt to set my target, then come up right to the edge of my building and just click and hold, and I'm moving the mouse up and down, back and forth, just moving it around a little bit. I'm painting in this edge here. It doesn't need to be perfect, and you'll see how it goes. And I'll just keep going. And then at a certain point, I might feel a little uncomfortable, I might let go. I could keep painting. I could click again and keep painting. But you'll notice at some point as I move left, my target's going to fall off the screen. So I am going to have to reset my target. So I'm going to let go with my mouse, press Alt over here on the midpoint again, approximately, and come over here to paint. And it'll start tracking and it'll be able to keep painting. And I'm going to keep going. And this will take a few minutes to do the whole edge of my building. I'll zoom out so I can see, come in over here. Now that I'm over here, I'm going to have to reset my target. So press Alt, click somewhere down there, and paint. Keep painting the edge. Now, one thing you'll notice as I keep going further and further into this perspective, it almost seems as if my grass is getting taller and taller. So at some point, I probably want to reduce my paintbrush size. And at this edge might be a good point. So I'm going to come in here, just click here, and then reduce my paintbrush size some amount, and then reset my target, Alt, click, paint along the stairs on this side. Now, in a video or two, we're going to add a path, so I don't need to worry about anything in front of the steps, and that's for any house you're working with, so I can skip that area and just jump right over here to this side, press Alt and click, come up to the edge, start painting. You can see my grass is looking tall again, so maybe after I do this area that's under the brick, maybe I'll reduce my paintbrush size again, just like this, down even smaller, come down here, reset my target, and paint this down in here along this edge and up the side. And this trick works well with flowers too, and other sort of similar things. We might even see it again. Now, as I'm getting close to the left-hand side, my target's almost off the screen, so I have to reset it down there, and I can keep going and do this little bit in the back here, just like that. Paint that in. And when I zoom out and look at this house, now it really does. That simple trick, you can barely see what I did, but it adds so much realism to the drawing to make it really feel like this is set in here. Like here it is. There's it without, clearly fake. Here it is with it in. You start to wonder how real or not it is. There's more tricks we can do with our building as we get into this, though. So we'll take more look at this as we keep moving forward in future videos.